As I was saying, we actually started with the terms and terminologies in genetics, where we look at allele, we look at carrier, gene, what is DNA, dominant, stroke recessiveness, first filial generation, Punnett square, and we look at genome. What's genome? What's a genotype? What do we mean by homozygous, heterozygous? What is meiosis? What do we mean by monozygotic twins, like which is identical twins? Genetic counseling. We talk about genetic counseling. Hybrids. What do we mean by X-linked? Uh, these are inheritance, or these are traits that are actually associated with X chromosomes. So zygote, we look at zygote and what mutation is. So I told you that mutation is a sudden change in the genetic makeup of an individual. Okay, so and we started looking at what is a Mendel's law of inheritance, and I told us, I was about telling us that the first law, which is called the law of segregation. So the law of segregation actually states that two allele for each gene will separate during the process of gametogenesis, and so that the parent may only pass off one allele. So if we have two allele, like a capital letter T and small letter t, so one of the, it is only one that will go into will be deposited during the process of gametogenesis. So that is the first law. And the second law, which is also called the law of independent assortment, that states that the allele, which is actually made up of two, which is of different alleles, different gene, the allele which is from different genes, that is, we are considering the tallness, that is the height. At the same time, we are also considering color, and that's why they call it the law of dihybrid inheritance. So this one is going to get assorted, or get independently assorted of one another. So the height of that plant or that organism does not in any way affect the color. So that is why it is called the law of independence. So, and each of them will have the probability to be represented during gametogenesis. So it's not going to follow any pattern. So it is going to follow the law of independent assortment. And the last one, dominance. The law of dominance is, I told you that the law of dominance actually believe, according to Mendel, that one of the traits is going to overshadow the expression of one allele, is going to overshadow the other one, and what is going to happen is that you have one as a dominant and the second one is going to serve as a recessive. These are the summary of Mendel's three laws. These are summary of Mendel's three laws: law of segregation, or law of germinal unit, the law of independent assortment, and the law of dominance. And we also look at examples to verify the law of Mendel, first law, second law. The first law, the verification will give you 3:1 crossing. And the second law, which is a law of independent assortment, will mean that you are going to have 3:1. And anything that does not follow that pattern means that it is not going to follow the law of dominance. So, and don't forget that I also told you what are the basic characteristics of Mendelian laws. What are the basic characteristics of Mendelian law? That's exactly what you have here, and it is also stated. Don't forget that I said Mendel made use of garden pea plants. So, and he was able to come up with like four different characteristics of traits from a garden pea plant. The first one was, he was able to consider the seed. The seed, he considered the form. The form was either round or wrinkled. And the second one, he was also able to consider the cotyledon. The cotyledon was either yellow or green. So, and he also moved into the second. The second trait that is also considered was the flower. So in flower, he was only able to consider only the color, and the color was either white or purple. Then number three, which is C, he also considered the pod of a garden pea plant. He considered them. So he considered two traits. The first one is the form, which was either uh, which is either full or constricted. He also considered color, the color which was either yellow or green as well. So before he now considered the fourth part of garden pea plant, that is considering the stem. So he made use of the seed, the flower, the pod, and the stem. So the stem, he was able to consider the place or the location of the stem, whether it was asile or whether it was also located at the area level. So he was able to consider that, whether it is easier pod or this, which was either easier or green in color. Okay, then the stem, also the stem sizes. So if it is long, if it is long, it is that means that it is between 6 to 7 feet long, and if it is short, that means it's going to be less than 1 feet. So that was what Mendel was able to do. And I also told you some of the basic characteristics, that is some of the uniqueness of garden pea plants, why Mendel was able to actually say that. Okay, so that is that as well. Okay, so let's so that is that. And in also we have been able to consider what are the basic characteristics, basic deviations from Mendel's law. We discovered that one of what Mendel was not able to do, and scientists after him were, I mean, they were able to do it, was in studying the incomplete dominance as we have it is in Snapdragon. So we consider that that is an incomplete dominance. We also look at the co-dominance, wherever we have the two characters or the allele, they are equally being represented, just like we have it in ABO block grouping, as well as law of multiple allele. Then another thing that Mendel was not able to actually work on, it was on the inheritance pattern of human skin color. And because it was the human skin color pattern of inheritance will follow what is called polygenic genes. That is, when you have different types of genes, considering when you have one trait that is being dependent on many genes, that's why they call it polygenic. Many genes, one trait. Many genes, one trait. And that of a sex-linked allele or sex-linked inheritance pattern, exactly what is found in hemophilia, whereby you have, that is color blindness. And this one is linked with sex, because we'll discover that anybody who is hemophiliac must have inherited it from their mother, from the female. And again, epistasis. So that is a condition whereby, so okay, the condition of epistasis is a condition or is a certain expression or that one gene is masked or modified by another gene which might not necessarily be on the same chromosome. So that is a epistasis, and we also look at that of a mice color for as an example. So whereby we talk about black for capital letter B for black, and that of a brown. And we also have it being influenced by a second gene, which is either pigmented, or this is a small letter C, capital letter C. And the inheritance of recessive gene, which is homozygosly which is recessive for that. So we also consider that. Then another thing we also consider in the earlier video was a genetic recombination. I told us that the genetic recombination is as a result of genetic exchange of genetic materials during meiosis. So during meiosis we have that. And number 8, I told us that environmental factors do affect or do influence the genetic makeup of an individual, and I told us that is one of the essence or the objective of this course, which is genetics and the environment. And we also observe that in cats, whereby the cat fall will actually depend on the increase in temperature. So that is a situation whereby the environment will have a great influence in determining what the genetic combination or genetic constitution could actually be. Then number 9, that is mitochondrial inheritance. So we talk about a certain disease condition, which is Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, which is actually due to which is as a result of the genetic composition of the mitochondria. Don't forget that I told us that the mitochondria as an organelle also exists like independently. So, and that it has its own gene that are on its DNA, and this is exactly what happens when you have mitochondrial disease. So it's a disorder. It's a kind of disorder that is mainly found in human, irrespective of whatever the sex could be. So an affected mother will definitely pass it to her own children. So it is called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, LON. It's a disease condition. So we need to know that, and the probability of inheritance, either of the mother affected mother passing it to his children, is 100%. So if the mother is affected, definitely is all his children, whether son or daughters, are going to have it. What they are going to inherit it. So we need to also know of this. And lastly, we'll talk about anticipation. Anticipation refers to a phenomenon where a genetic disorder become more severe or appear at an early age in successive generation. So an example of that is Huntington disease, that is CAG repeat will increase the chance or the probability of of having it in successive generation. So these are part of the characteristics of non-Mendelian principle. So for the sake of this tutorial, so please make sure that you go over all the videos on genetics. Go over it over and over. You should know how we chose Piscium sativum, that is garden pea plants, because number 1, they are easily available. That plant is easily available. Then number 2 is that this plants have contrasting characters. So you can see he chose the seed. If he had chosen the seed, at least he has something to actually compare with. If he chose the flower, the same thing. So so to say. Then also, apart from the seed, he also chose the pod, and the stem. He was able to choose all these in order to be able to explain this, because this plant is able to have contrasting characters. So then, apart from that, the plant is easily grown, can easily be cultivated. So can be cultivated, and that is we have to give it to this plant for this. So then this plant can actually contribute a lot of large number of offspring within a very short period of time. Within a very short period of time, and these are part of one of, I mean, some of the reasons why this plant, garden pea plant, was chosen as a kind of instrument by Gregor Mendel, who is actually regarded as the father of genetics up to today. And with this one and the other review of the all the videos, I'm very sure that you'll be able to attempt the tutorial that will be dropped very soon on the in the comment section under this. Please, we have come to the end of today's short revision of all the videos that we put up on genetics and the environment. So I want to believe that you will be able to share this video, like it, and you'll be able to make comments. And make sure you attempt the tutorial. You can attempt it over and over again until you are able to at least score nothing less than 98% of it. So that one will prepare you ahead for any exams in introduction to genetics or introductory genetics. We'll be able to prepare you ahead. Don't forget that we also have other videos that will be coming